Welcome to the Share, Lunch, and Learn series. I'm Oliver Chen, Cowen's new platform, retail, and luxury analyst. I have the pleasure of welcoming Jennifer Hyman. She's the founder and CEO of Rent the Runway. A brief introduction on Jennifer. Jennifer co-founded Rent the Runway in 2009. Its mission has been the same ever since: to power women to feel their best every day. She received her bachelor's from Harvard University with honors and her M.B.A. from Harvard Business School. Rent the Runway has been an iconic brand with lots of innovation. So really exciting to be here with you, Jen.
I'm excited to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
So I'll turn it over to you, Jen, for opening comments. We'll jump into Q&A, and audience, feel free to email me, oliver.chen@cowen.com, if you have any questions you'd like to ask Jen as well. Jen?
Well, what do you want my opening comments to be, Oliver?
We'd love to hear about earnings last week. You noted an extremely strong macro environment for rental. Could you elaborate on this and speak to what are you doing to capitalize on these tailwinds that you're seeing?
Sure. So maybe I'll just start off for, a few minutes on what our business does. So the primary business of Rent the Runway is to deliver a subscription to fashion to our customers, where our customer pays about $140 a month. And for that, she receives $4,000 worth of designer clothing per month. So she receives 8 items of her choosing from a catalog of millions of designer items that she can wear. So why does a customer do this? A customer signs up for a subscription to Rent the Runway because they want variety and newness in their wardrobe, because they want to do that. They want to access designer brands in a cost-effective way. They understand that about 50% of the closet is filled up with things that we've purchased, but that we only wear once or twice before throwing them away or moving them to the back of our closet. So Rent the Runway is a fantastic substitute for fast fashion, and that this is a smarter, kind of more sustainable way to get dressed. We also have a business where we enable women to rent the runway for a one-off special event. So you can rent a dress for an upcoming wedding that you have. We'll send you that dress in 2 sizes for your event. And that was the business that we actually pioneered 13 years ago. And really, we moved from our event rental business into a business now that our subscription is kind of used by our customers about 80 days of the year to get dressed. So this has really become kind of a utility behavior. I had mentioned on our earnings call last week that we've entered one of the best macro economic environments for rental that's ever existed. So there are kind of we all know that this is going to be a massive year for people celebrating. So there's going to be 2.6 million weddings this year, which means that there's 2.6 million rehearsal dinners and Sunday brunches and bachelorette parties and honeymoons. There's also going to be a return to the office, and generally a kind of consumer population who is so excited to spend their money on experiences. Rent the Runway has always been known and built a brand around renting a dress for a special occasion. So we're able to capitalize on this macro environment to build a funnel of new customers that will not only fuel our growth for this year, but for many years to come. So we gave guidance of revenue growth of 45 to 50% this year. And we believe that we can kind of take advantage of this environment to educate a broader swath of the population about Rent the Runway. Now, that's kind of the obvious thing that's going on. The other thing that benefits us in the macro environment is inflation. So the cost of purchasing a dress has actually gone up 13% between 2021 and 2022, which means that the value proposition of Rent the Runway is even higher. Now, if you're going out, you get an invite to a party, a date, a wedding, you realize it's costing you even more money to buy something that you only are going to wear once or twice. And so the value prop of renting a dress for 10% of the price or getting a subscription where you're getting 20x the value in that month becomes even more attractive for you. So we think that we can take advantage of a lot of events this year. We could take advantage of a return to work environment, which means no one's bought workwear over the last 2 years. They have kind of a new dress code at work, and we're a great way to kind of get ready and change out your wardrobe for this kind of new environment.
Jennifer, 80% of revenue comes from subscribers. Do you see that ratio increasing over time? And 45 to 50% revenue growth is very impressive. What are some of the underlying factors driving that?
So the underlying factor that's driving kind of the revenue growth is that our subscribers are becoming more and more engaged over time. So we're capturing greater closet share out of our subscribers, which is increasing their ARPU. So our subscription is unique in that it's flexible. So think about like a subscription to Netflix or Spotify, you pay the same monthly price. And the only way that those businesses make more money over time is they can up the price of your baseline subscription. Our subscription is unique in that we have a baseline price that we can take price actions on from time to time. But in addition to that, we give our customers the ability to add additional paid items into their subscription or add additional paid shipments. So you start off with a program that you get 4 items at a time and kind of 2 swaps a month. So you're essentially getting 8 designer pieces from us per month. But if you have kind of a new outfit that you need for this weekend or a new occasion that comes up, we make it very easy for you to pay for an additional slot in your subscription. And we saw that over 30% of our subscribers in Q4 opted to pay us more money per month to pay for an additional slot. And so what that means is we're capturing more closet share from them. We're capturing more days of the month that they're using their subscription. And we think that today, Rent the Runway is a fraction of what our customers spend on apparel per year. So the average American is spending $3,300 a year on apparel and about $500+ to upkeep that apparel, to clean it and preserve it. We're a fraction of that spend right now, but we have opportunity with our customer base to kind of capture even more. And we've proven that this is a service that once she starts doing it, she sees how smart and how easy it is to do it, and she tends to increase her engagement with us.
That's great. Very helpful and clearly a value. Who's your typical customer, Jennifer? An incoming question. And how has this changed since you started the company?
So our typical customer is what I would call a current luxury or aspirational luxury customer. So she's someone who's between 15 and 50. She is educated. She is often a professional woman, so she often is working. 80% of our customers have household incomes above 100K. These are women that are trying to optimize their time. They're very busy. They're trying to juggle their personal lives and their careers. And this is kind of this customer base that needs to have variety in their wardrobe because they have a job, they have a home life, they're taking trips, they're, socializing. We've seen that the customer base has become much more diverse, especially over the last 5 or so years since we launched subscriptions. So for the first 6 years of our business, we were renting the runway for events. And so the customer base was primarily women who attended events. And that meant that most of the customers were in their 20s and 30s at that time, people that were being asked out on dates, that were going to parties, that were going to, New Year's Eve celebrations, weddings, etc. Now that 80% of our revenue comes from a subscription and people are using it to get dressed for their everyday life, we're seeing that we have much wider age diversity in the customer base, and we have much wider geographic diversity in the customer base. We've fueled the geographic diversity, especially over the last 2 years since COVID, as we've seen that southern states and have less of a response as infection rates go up. So our business is one that if people are sitting at home on their couches, we don't do as well. we want the macro environment to be one where you leave your home, that fuels Rent the Runway. If you're leaving your home, you're using fashion for self-expression and our business grows. So we've seen that in states like Texas or Florida or Georgia, even when infection rates for COVID have gone up, people continue to subscribe and utilize their subscription like normal, whereas New York is more impacted when infection rates go up. So we've actually kind of spent relatively more of our marketing dollars on red states over the last few years because we view that as an incredible hedge against future variants of COVID.
Very helpful and interesting. A bigger picture question, Jennifer, what's less well or least well understood about Rent the Runway in your opinion?
I think that one of the things that is misunderstood is the level, what are the competitive moats of the business? What have we built that make it more difficult for others to enter the space? So the first is that we've had to build out an operation that does just-in-time reverse logistics. So 100% of the items that we send out get shipped back to us from our customers. We restore them to perfect condition, and we are often turning them around to new customers that very same day or the next day. And so all of the technology and data to fuel our operation has been built in-house, and we continuously iterate on it. Now that OpEx space of our business is one that can support a multiple of our current subscriber base. So you're going to see really nice operational leverage in the business over the next few years as revenue growth far surpasses and exceeds, growth on operational spend, because we already have both the logistics in place, the technology in place, and the headcount in place to be at a multiple of our current subscriber base. So I'm really excited now that infection rates have kind of subsided. We're taking investors through our facilities to kind of have them see firsthand how significant kind of our logistical moat is. Another interesting thing about our business is our brand partner relationships. So we partner with over 800 brands, and we are one of their most important marketing channels. If you think about the landscape for a brand over the last few decades, they've seen physical retail close, and they've seen their costs of marketing skyrocket. And so putting their product and enabling young, educated women to have an experience in one of their products is one of the very best ways for them to build brand affinity early. We've proven that 98% of our customers are renting brands from us that they've never owned before. So that means it's pure play customer acquisition for our brand partners. As a result of that, our brands have innovated the way that they work with us tremendously over the last few years. So now we acquire 60% of our inventory either on consignment, where we pay nothing or very little for it up front, and we revenue share with our designer partners off of that inventory, or we're actually manufacturing that inventory ourselves in collaboration with our designer partners. We call that exclusive designs. So we're one of the few entities in the kind of resale economy, the secondhand economy, that partners directly with brands, where brands are making money from their relationship with Rent the Runway, and they're viewing us as a critical way for them to grow their customer base. And the third kind of competitive advantage of our business is the data that we have. Because we're a utility that customers use 80 days per year, they're giving us data every single time they return an article of clothing to us. So when I return this sweater to Rent the Runway, I have to tell Rent the Runway how many times I've worn it, how it fit me, where I wore it. And that data enables us to do a better job at figuring out what we should procure in the first place, figuring out how we should care for our inventory in order to optimize ROI, figuring out how we should personalize the experience to each of our users to up kind of her customer lifetime value. But we're also able to give that data back to our brand partners to help them improve their businesses. So our data has helped us to change the way that our brand partners manufacture their inventory in the first place, how they ensure that they're making product that fits more women. And that data we're able to deliver to our brand partners real time because of how frequently we're getting it from our customer base. So I would say that logistics, data, and our brand partner relationships are very strong kind of competitive moats of our business, and three elements that we want to do more education on with investors.
Jennifer, an incoming question on profitability. You touched upon this and operational leverage and the top line growth. Could you elaborate on key factors investors should understand regarding profitability in the future? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I was really proud of our Q4 results, and you saw that we beat on both top line and bottom line. And as revenue has really returned to the business post-COVID, and you see tremendous kind of revenue growth, you're seeing the real margin profile of the business. So we mentioned a few things in our earnings. First of all, profitability is our number one goal as a company. We can get to free cash flow profitability with the cash that we currently have. And we only need, on average, around 300,000 subscribers in order to be a positive free cash flow business. So you're going to see us grow tremendously over the next year, but also you're going to see the margin progression of the business. And we basically, the number one thing that you need to believe in order for us to be a positive free cash flow business is simply scale. We've already built the OpEx base of our business for multiples of our current subscriber base. So this is where kind of the OpEx leverage comes in. Once we get to that 300,000 plus subscriber base, we're at that free cash flow positive. Now, there are things that we are also working on internally that help us get to profitability faster. Those three things, namely, are increasing the mix shift of how we acquire inventory even more towards consignment and exclusive designs, which lowers the cost of inventory. The second thing we're working on is putting more data technology and automation into our warehouses to reduce our fulfillment expenses. And the third thing we're working on is improving the customer experience, making it easier to find clothing that you love and that fits you. And that increases our ARPU.
That's very helpful and great details on that. On the customer front, Jennifer, customer acquisition cost or something you closely monitor and manage with a lot of agility. What are some key strategies there that we should know about? There's so many changes happening with Apple iOS and privacy as well.
So we've always been a business that has really had deep strength in word of mouth and in the virality of our business. So over 80% of our customers actually come to us for free via word of mouth. And if you think about why this is, it is a behavior where people utilize our service 80 days of the year to get dressed. And when they rent clothing, you're renting clothing that you wouldn't otherwise buy, that doesn't make rational sense for you to own. So you're actually renting clothing that's more colorful, that's more fashion forward, that's more trendy, and you become a walking billboard for the brand. And you tend to have, dozens of conversations per year where you will credit Rent the Runway as being, a part of why you look so great and why you feel so confident. So that continues to be the case for 13 years, that over 80% of our business has come via word of mouth. We also, have very kind of analytical paid, earned, and owned media strategies where we bring people into the business cost effectively. And because we have such high longevity with our customers, are able to derive very high customer lifetime value. So we have a very short payback period on our marketing expenses. Marketing has always been around 10% of our revenue, no more than that. 2022, we gave, we shared that marketing this year would also be about, marketing spend would be about 10% of our revenue. And we also shared that within 6 months of someone signing up for a subscription, we've derived over $500 in revenue off of that customer. And of course, we have our subscribers for, many years, but just to give people a perspective on how much money we make off of those subscribers over time, it's a business that really does change consumer behavior and people are quite loyal.
I wish you had it for men's. I'm a bit jealous. So on customer lifetime value, there's a few questions here. One, data is such a big part of this with personalized fit, reviews, and carousels, and also maximization of this in general. Would love your thoughts, as that's an important topic to drive value in the long term.
Yeah, because people are coming to our app a few times a week to select clothing that they're going to wear this week, it's our job to make it as easy as possible to surface clothing efficiently to them that they're going to love, and that's most likely to fit them. So we have personalized the UX of our app and our site, if you're a subscriber, to be uniquely personal to you. So no two subscribers see the same inventory, see the inventory in the same order, because we're personalizing to the things that we think are most likely that you will love and that will fit you. And you'll see us invest even more in kind of optimizing our fit algorithms, optimizing our personalization to do a better job at especially getting new customers before we have a lot of data on them, to personalize their experience and make it easier for them to kind of select inventory at the very beginning that we know has a higher probability of leading to kind of a long-term customer for us. For example, like there are styles that we know, everyone loves. And if you get that in your first or your second shipment, you're most likely to stick with the service. So we're going to be doing a better job at kind of optimizing those styles and making sure that you get them in one of your first or second shipments.
Jennifer, ESG is so important to us here at Cowen, and profits and purpose. And that factor. Rent the Runway recently released an impact strategy. What is that, and what are some of your key goals?
So sustainability has really always been core to the ethos of our business, to what our business actually does. 70% of the negative emissions within the fashion industry, which is one of the more pollutive industries on earth, come from the production of new clothing. So it comes from this kind of vicious cycle where every year the average American purchases 68 articles of clothing per year. And I already mentioned that over 50% of what we purchase per year is worn 3 times or less. So all the bad stuff in the industry comes from this overproduction and overconsumption. What we're trying to do as a business is we're trying to say, you don't have to purchase those things that you're only going to wear once, twice, 3 times. And instead, you should substitute purchase with rental. So what we have actually proven is that over the last 10 years, we have displaced the need for new production of clothing. That when people have a subscription to Rent the Runway, they actually buy less clothes. And in particular, they buy less fast fashion. 83% of our customers buy less fast fashion when they use Rent the Runway. So the hero goal of our impact strategy is to continue to displace the production of new clothing. In addition to displacing the production of new clothing, we believe that there are things that every fashion company should be doing that are table stakes. Things like diversion of 100% of our products from landfill, which we've been doing for quite some time and will continue to do. Being carbon, neutral, net zero emissions by, 2040. Continuing to ensure that our the partners that we work with and our employees are diverse. So you'll see us, we made some pretty bold commitments in our impact strategy. We're going to report on those every single year. But I would say the number one thing that our business model does is we're trying to get the customer to buy less stuff. And actually, every single time that I can add an incremental wear to this sweater, it benefits my bottom line, and it has positive impacts on the environment, which is very unique, that our sustainability strategy actually is beneficial to our financial strategy. Whereas a lot of companies in the fashion space, for better or for worse, they have to convince the consumer to buy more things that you don't necessarily need. We're effectively saying, stop buying and rent instead.
That's a big theme for us. Less can be more. So Jennifer, there's multiple levers for future growth, including more of what you do today and also some future levers. What are some highlights that you would want to speak to in both of those buckets?
So first, I think that we've just scratched the surface of building out this closet in the cloud. And we believe there's the potential for millions of women to have a subscription to fashion and to kind of add more variety and newness into their wardrobe in kind of a smart, affordable way. In addition to that, we've seen tremendous growth in our assortment over the last 5 years. So we started off, as I mentioned, renting really dresses and accessories for special occasions. And now if you came on our platform, 80% of our inventory is not formal. So 80% of our inventory are things like sweaters and jeans and blouses and ski jackets and activewear and, just casual clothing. And as we've expanded the kind of choices for our customers on our platform, we've seen that the number of days per year they use us go up. This makes sense. When you start adding beachwear onto your platform or ski wear or maternity wear, you can capture more closet share for your customer if they happen to get pregnant or if they happen to go skiing, etc. So I think that you'll see us expand categories over the medium term. I think that you'll continue to see us make the customer experience easier to use so that we can capture more closet share from the customer. And I also think that there's more that we can do for our brand partners to help them acquire more customers and build even bigger businesses through our platform.
Jennifer, final question, and if you have any closing remarks as well. Which parts of the business are you having the most fun with? What's most exciting for you?
Well, my favorite part of Rent the Runway is building our team. We have an incredible team of innovative executives here who always love to innovate and push the envelope. We have built a business that is really changing consumer behavior. And I think that you'll continue to see lots of different innovation from Rent the Runway because we have a team here that's very entrepreneurially minded and is always thinking about the customer first and how we can really improve that customer experience. But I'm also very excited about a macro environment that is more open to Rent the Runway than it's ever been in the past. So I mentioned before that there's a lot of events this year, there's inflation, but if you kind of rewind to 13 years ago when I founded Rent the Runway, it was actually considered icky to wear clothes that other women have worn before. And now you think about how normalized secondhand clothing is. There's so many great companies where you can purchase secondhand clothing, Rent the Runway being one of them, but also obviously great companies like The RealReal and ThredUp and Poshmark. It's just like a normal, smart, aspirational thing to do, that a portion of your closet now is going to be comprised of things that, other people might have worn or owned before you. So secondhand has become normalized. The other really exciting thing that's happened is that sustainability has gone from being something that was a nice to have to something that is actually influencing how younger consumers are making their decisions. And because Rent the Runway is one of the most sustainable ways to get dressed, we've seen that we now have many users who are signing up for a subscription, not only because of the financial value or the variety they're getting or access to designer brands, but because it's a more sustainable choice. So I'm really excited that many of the tailwinds that this business was built upon have actually accelerated over the past 2 to 3 years due to COVID. And I think the next few years for us are going to be a huge story about our growth, but also a huge story about our pathway to profitability and really driving this business to be a very high free cash flow business as well as a high growth business, and just really excited to show the world what we can do.
I'm also excited to see you tonight at Columbia Business School. I teach a class there. One of the major themes is magic and logic, and the logic of the reverse logistics capabilities that you have and the scale that you've built in the brand. And then the magic of the discovery, rethinking the closet as software, and all the value you're providing are very interesting topics we'll dive into more. Jennifer, thanks. It was a pleasure joining you today and with this discussion.
Thank you so much, Oliver, and excited to spend more time together later today.
Thanks for joining us today, everybody. And please tune in Thursday starting at 10:30 Eastern to hear from crypto company Voyager Digital. This concludes our presentation.